Scott Stedman, welcome to the Mueller Time Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Scott, I know you had a really long day, so I just want to thank you again for coming out here and making your way down to Hollywood.
Yeah, man, no problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and I want to real quick thank Spaces for giving us the awesome studio space. They really hooked it up. So
use Spaces, everyone.
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful place.
Yeah. So, Scott, the book is called Real News. It came out yesterday?
Yesterday morning. Yep.
So I know we were just joking about how to summarize a book like this, but can you, let's say someone Real News, just hearing about it, can you tell us about it?
Sure, yeah. So Real News is a compilation of 18 months of my research into the Trump-Russia investigation. I sort of laid it out in a few different sections where my focus was and where I did most of my work. So the first chapter, I guess you want to call it. It's not really chapters. It's more chunks of stories. The first one that I wrote about is the Trump Tower Moscow deal. And my contribution to that was basically looking into the Russian side of things, the Russian money behind that. The second part is the two secret meetings in Trump Tower in 2016. The first one, of course, being with the Russian lawyer, which we all know about very well.
Yep.
And the second one is a meeting that's not often talked about that I think is perhaps the most important meeting of the 2016 election with Donald Trump Jr. and Joel Zamel of Psy Group, which is an Israeli social media manipulation company that was pitching their plans to the Trump campaign, basically saying we can create a bunch of bots and fake news online and help support Trump. So that's what that meeting was about, and we don't really know what if anything came of that. But yeah.
Scott, you're 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get on the road to becoming an investigative journalist who already has his own book out?
Yeah, it's kind of an unorthodox story. I started my senior year of college at UC Irvine. And my first article came out just days after the first indictment of the Papadopoulos indictment. And I was finding things on open source information, just in general, foreign press reports, various pictures and documents. And I was able to basically prove that Papadopoulos wasn't the coffee boy that everyone's saying, and that the media kind of just took and just accepted. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, he didn't do too much. And I was like, wait a second. I can find this stuff fairly easily just by looking open source.
I was going to tell you, too. I think he lives in this neighborhood. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he does. He's in Beverly Hills. George, if you want to stop by, we can.
and Simona, right?
Oh, God.
And we'll tell the podcast about that humorous aspect. I was hoping, I know that they, we all know that George likes to drink a little bit from
his encounter with the Australian official where he spilled the dirt.
So I messaged him a few times, and I was like, I'd love to talk to you, and I don't like whoever comes on the show gets my utmost respect. Anybody, even someone I would never put somebody in a position. I'd want to hear their side of the story, as you know.
Yeah, you want to be respectful to who they are and just hear what they have to say.
So I've been hoping at one of the bars I'll run into them, but anyway, I haven't, and it's funny because I just never thought about it, but in effect, I'm trying to mirror what happened to him with that Alexander Downer. I'm hoping
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, in effect. So
yeah, bump elbows with him, and maybe he'll tell you
liquor is the
it's deadly.
So you were. So yeah, you said that basically you it started the road to Real News. Your book started with Papadopoulos, and you're wondering. Say that again. Why no one was covering this aspect?
Yeah, so that was the big thing for me. It's like the Papadopoulos indictment came out. I found that I'm being careful in my interviews not to slander the media too much because Trump, what Trump says is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the press is amazing for the most part and essential to what we do as Americans. But I found that with the Trump-Russia investigation specifically, the media kind of strayed away from investigative journalism at its core. And we're more focused on clickbaity headlines, and also just a little bit of like not holding the Trump team's feet to the fire at all with their claims. And before I even wrote anything about Papadopoulos, like I sent 90% of what I found to a bunch of news organizations, trying to get them to like listen.
Really?
Yeah. And either no response or, we'll look into it further. And so that was kind of like the turning point for me. Like, all right, I just got to start a blog then, I guess.
It's hard to, it's obviously hard to keep track of this, but so basically just for my own kind of edification, once the campaign started to distance himself, you're saying, and again, I'm with you, like the journalists are the heroes of the day and media, but you're saying that no one really called them on the coffee boy thing, that he was just nobody.
Right. That was my sort of foot in the door moment.
Yeah.
Not only did they not do the research, I don't want to speak so broadly.
No. It's
yeah.
Just...
They didn't do the research, in my view, properly to cover the story. Michael Caputo was the one that said he was the coffee boy, and they kind of just let that roll.
Huh.
And I was like, yeah, this is garbage. So yeah, that was my first foray into it, and I was doing that, midnight to 3 a.m. after midterms and everything else.
Is there any, and not to stay on that topic, but do you have any idea why it was getting overlooked by the big organizations?
I have theories. We hear like Bernie talk about it all the time, but all these news organizations are owned by 5 or 6 conglomerates. And there's an insane structure right now where clicks equals money.
Right.
And they're business. They have to make money.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm kind of trying to do is make documents and real investigative journalism something that people are interested in. Right.
And that's, like, I'd like to say, one of the things, or the things I try to bring up on this show in the time we live in, is that everybody needs to be playing their part in stopping what's happening and standing up for this country. And that's what I was thinking about when I'm like, so there you are. It's not like you have the budget of like the New York Times. You rely on basically from I assume wherever you live. You did all this from home and your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
At least at the beginning, for sure.
Yeah.
The first 6 months or so. A lot of it, man, it was just like almost cold calling.
Right.
Literally, like I sent, not to talk about the Papadopoulos thing all day, but my one of my first moves there was I sent emails to like 30 embassies and consulates around the world and just said, hey, did you guys have interactions with Papadopoulos during the campaign?
Right.
Just trying to establish what he was doing, I guess, during the 2016 campaign. And a couple of them got back to me and were like, yeah. Like the UK, for example, that was one of my, my first break, I guess.
Yeah.
The UK said, yeah, we had like a working level meeting with just George and our foreign minister team in 2016, and that was an important meeting. So yeah, a lot of it was just like cold calling and just doing some boring, not boring, but like deep in the weeds.
Well, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's pretty much what investigative journalism is. It's
what it should be, I think.
And when you did that, how did you present yourself?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I definitely played up the student angle for a long time, even after college.
That's awesome.
I was like, yeah, I'm a student writer, and I think people are more eager to...
Scott, I'm still doing that so I can get discounts, and I've been out of college a bit.
But yeah, I definitely played that up. Used my age to my advantage.
Okay.
And also, but like, people are more willing to talk than you think, especially if you like build a rapport with them a little bit, even if you don't agree with what they're saying. You don't have to be like over flattering them, but
sure,
act like a normal human being and they'll respect you.
I learned that in this show. I mean, we've only been doing Mueller Time a year and a half. You're right. I mean, a lot of it is just, hey, do you want to talk to me? And there's only 2 answers, yes or no, basically.
Exactly.
And then it's amazing. Like you said, a lot of people just say yes.
Mm-hmm. And from the journalist side of things, like start on backgrounds. Everyone's comfortable with that. No, your name's not going to be. Come on.
Right.
And then after months go by, they reconsidered. Maybe I will put my name to this. Maybe it's time.
And people. So basically, you were looking into this, and then according to your book, you had about one person. The UK.
The UK back. Was the big one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And they wrote back and said that he had some. He wasn't just some coffee boy.
Right.
And exactly, and then it went from there.
Yeah, and then along with the UK email, there was a lot of pictures in foreign media of him meeting with President of Cyprus, and can't think of the others off the top of my head.
Sure.
But there's pictures and meetings from that.
Is he? Because there was a lot about Greek. Is he American born, or is he?
Yeah, he's born in Chicago. But his grandparents, I think.
Yeah,
extended families in Greece.
I think, and honestly, he's a very.
He's all right, man. It's just like he. I don't want to talk shit on him, but he's
no. You're not.
The word grifter is just so prevalent.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
No, it's because you got your.
Simona's worse to me, but like that shit got real for a little bit.
When I was first learning about him, so I mean, to me it was pretty clear. It's just, and again, it's not about talking whatever. It's just what it is, that it's a person, and that goes for a lot of the campaign. People who never would have been within 1,000 yards of a presidential campaign, and that moment came. And the one talent that grifters have is they see an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's a problem. Like with this whole investigation, the Trump team, especially the people on the not outside, but like the Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, like that foreign affairs team, a lot of them make themselves seem more important than they are.
Right.
So, like for example, Carter Page wrote that he was a informal advisor to the Kremlin. Right. Time magazine came out with that like last year. Was that true, or was that just him trying to make himself seem, and that's a lot of these things like, hey, George told me this, he was working on this, blah, blah, blah. Is that just him running his mouth and saying, I'm more important, look at me? And a lot of it is, that is the case.
And that's the job of investigative journalists like yourself, and also an investigator, a criminal investigator, to figure out who's, are you talking yourself up, or are you?
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling a lot of those guys, once they're on the hot seat, probably are like, no, wait, I was just...
Exactly. Like when Roger Stone gets to trial, he's going to be like, I didn't believe any of that.
Or Felix Sater, who has the business card, right?
Yep.
And then...
Sater's interesting. I love Sater.
Yeah.
As a study, as a human case study.
Yeah, so, and for everybody, Felix Sater, who is a... now that I think about it, you're right. I mean, he really might be... This guy might be the most interesting character in this whole thing. So. You think so?
Yeah. He has such an interesting background.
Yeah.
He started with... His father was in the Russian mafia. Worked for Mogilevich, which is the main mob boss of all mob bosses.
The boss of bosses.
Yeah. And that's recorded in FBI documents.
Yeah.
So can't get around that.
Right.
Sater himself, the son, he was involved with Wall Street scams involving Russians. Got into a bar fight, which is infamous now. Stabbed a dude in the face with a margarita glass.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah, great guy. But then after that, he became this very important U.S. asset, which is like, how does that happen? Like,
have you been able to get any info on that? Like any?
Not yet.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it is coming from him.
Okay.
But there are like signed declarations from Loretta Lynch, for example, saying, Sater was a very valuable asset in the fight against terrorism and money laundering. So what is he doing around Trump in 2015 and 2016 is the question. That's
sort of, I don't know if you read or if you know Dark Alliance by Gary Webb.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, like that whole story where that's just a very American, if it's true, that's a very American thing that in that book he discovered that basically this big shot, this has been a while since I read it, but basically the U.S. government needed him as a informant, so they looked the other way, that he was major narcotics trafficker, and that's just a very, I hate to say it, but it's sort of an American thing. And
it is, and good for Sater for doing that. It seems like he did a lot of good there, but I mean, people fall back in their own ways, so we can't really be sure.
I guess the question would be: did they overlook other activities that were, if he?
Well, my question is, if he was an FBI asset when he partnered with Trump, 2010, what was it? 2008, 2010, Bayrock. They built Trump Tower Soho together. If he was an FBI asset then, we know there was all kind of money laundering flowing through Trump Soho. So why wasn't that ever dealt with? If he was on the inside to, get this information. It's
a great question.
Yeah.
Now, so you're chasing down the Papadopoulos investigation, and then you realize when did you get to the point where I'm ready to write? Like I'm ready to.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a political junkie, right? That's my degree at UCI. I'm in love with politics. I'm in love with the game.
UCI, everybody.
Yeah. UCI, where I did absolutely no campus activity, and I went home as soon as I could. But a great school, and I loved it.
I guarantee you they're going to be putting you on the magazine if they haven't already.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, they love it.
What was the question?
Oh, it was
Papadopoulos.
When you were ready to put it down in print.
Yeah, so that was a pretty quick process, especially because a lot of the first stories that I wrote were just based on like Greek media reports. So yeah, maybe just like a week. Had the info for a week. The indictment came down. They said he was a coffee boy. I sewed everything up, and then I just sort of went for it.
And where did you publish that initially?
Just on Medium.
On Medium, yeah. I like Medium. It worked for you.
It works, yeah. It's a cool platform. Yeah, it's worked.
And once you had that, so once it comes out on Medium, when did people start to notice it? Like, hey, what's this?
I can shout out some names.
Oh yeah.
Seth Abramson,
of course,
was huge in the beginning. And for all of his, I like Seth. I think he's done amazing work.
Sure.
But it does get a little overwhelming sometimes, like the 200 tweet threads and stuff.
Scott,
like we don't need.
I'm with you, man. I was just telling and it's like true. Like I think I saw him on Bill Maher the other day.
Yeah, me too.
I love what he does, and I love this book. But I can't consume information that way.
It's hard, especially for it's a very specific audience.
Yeah.
And I tried to write it a little bit differently, but my book, to where if you've never heard of the Russia investigation, you can pick it up and sort of understand some of the contours of it.
Right, because I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of what's hard is that it's just so much. I mean, information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you keep this stuff in your head, or do you just not keep it in your head?
A lot of people ask me that. I don't really have like a tip or a trick. It's like immersion. It's been my life for the last year, certainly since I've been out of college. But yeah, just immersion and a lot of bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's no whiteboard with a bunch of names on it.
A true detective, like that's kind of what I pictured.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for you, like the big, the investigative thing. So yeah, so Seth Abramson and some other people were really helpful, and
Anthony Zucker of BBC. Okay. He actually wrote an article in the BBC that said he picked up the Papadopoulos UK meeting and said this was first reported by 21-year-old Scott Stedman. So that was big for me to be in the BBC mentioned.
Shoot, I mean, yeah, that's it's like I've been in the entertainment business a long time, and sometimes people ask me like, should I go to film school? Or I never want to say no, but I do think that basically the way that you did it and the way I've gone about my career is like, just do it.
Just
do it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, they hang up on you. Screw it.
Right.
Don't need you.
There you go. Yeah, what was the reaction of your family and friends when you got that first article out there? Like,
I think everyone at first thought it was a hobby, because that's kind of how I saw it. Like,
sure.
I like this stuff. I enjoy writing. I wrote about baseball for many years. That's kind of how I started writing online. Yeah, it was a hobby at first, and then once it started getting picked up, kind of gained seriousness a little bit.
Right.
It was like a snowball.
Right.
Just yeah, and I love it now. Don't know what the future's going to hold, but I like the work that I do.
Yeah, and since you brought that up now, it's true for both of us. But if you do like the Mueller Time podcast, it's it's patreon.com/Mueller Time.
I have some ideas, by the way, with me and you, perhaps.
Oh man, I would just say the word.
Yeah, we'll discuss it.
Yes, that would be amazing. But since it's very important, how do people support what you do? I mean, I usually do that at the end, but I mean, is there a way they can support you directly?
Yeah, I have. Buy the book.
You know what? Yeah, of course.
That's number one, but I don't see any money from that for a long time. So,
real news.
Yeah. I have a buy me a coffee sort of thing on my Twitter, but it's mostly just out of pocket, which is fine by me. You know, I made some money on the book, and I'm willing to invest it back into the work for now. But it's going to run out eventually. So
I actually bought 2 copies, so I was trying
good. Thank you.
No, yeah, you're welcome. Because I was getting I'd like to read everything on ebook, but then I was like, wait a minute, even a day, because the print was out earlier, and I was like, I need even an extra day so I can be ready for this.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me go to. I went out to Studio City.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's also funny, by the way, all the Trump Russia books are in, and a lot of them are red.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. I went to Barnes & Noble the day before, 2 days ago, I guess. My days are jumbled.
I bet.
The day before release day, and one Barnes & Noble around me had it early. And the first thing I saw when I walked in was Deep State Target, George Puppet.
I know. I
was like, oh, great.
And it's like you said, like we're honestly not, neither of us are trying to keep coming back to that, but there's just so much. Okay.
I wish there was some truth in it.
Yeah.
Because there's zero truth in what they say.
That's why I've since I've been doing this show, I've learned how much you do walk a fine line when like this is what I would call a interview where we're sort of on the same page, but there's sometimes where if somebody maybe I don't agree with, and like I was watching. I think it was Ari Melber, and had George Papadopoulos is making the rounds, and I see them walking that line, but you have to be so careful because they have a huge platform, and these people are just the guy pled guilty.
Yes,
so we know what happened. I mean, we know some of what happened.
He is a criminal. Let's start with that.
The guy who's like kind of like a legal advisor for this show, I said when he started coming out and saying all this stuff, I said, "Can he do that after you?" And he's like, "Yeah." He pled guilty and served his time. He can say whatever.
Yeah, he's on a probation period, but you got to do some serious stuff to invoke that.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but it almost seems like I don't know. Couldn't you write that into an agreement? Like once you serve your time, at least for a bit, you can't just say that the U.S. government is just bullshit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Probably can't talk too much about this, but I know something they were looking into after he got released. They being congressional and federal authorities, and this was more Simona actually.
Okay,
was possible witness tampering because they were going after a few of my sources really hard.
Wow,
and very very directly, publicly.
Wow.
So it was interesting. Like if you see some of the private messages they were sending to family members of George, it's wild.
Yeah, it sounds like they have kind of this reality type show going on in the background, which
apparently there's really good shit on that. Like there's Simona in handcuffs. The cops got called.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh yeah. It
sounds interesting.
So yeah, and just since you brought up, so Simona Papadopoulos is the wife of George Papadopoulos, the first person arrested in the Mueller investigation. Is she Russian? Like, what's the story there?
She's not Russian.
She's not Russian. Okay.
She, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I'm trying to remain as objective as possible, and I have because she says the most ridiculous things, and I don't want to be. I never go after her accent or anything like that.
Of course.
Like that's just off limits to me.
Of course.
She is Italian-born, even though she doesn't sound it. She is. But she worked for Professor Mifsud
Okay.
who I'm sure your listeners are probably aware, but if you want to just give a quick rundown of
or no, you give a rundown.
Yeah, sure.
Please.
So Professor Mifsud is a professor originally from Malta.
He was Scott's professor at UC Irvine.
He's my inside source. No. He was a professor originally in Malta and then went to Italy, and he ran this sort of academic center in London as well that George worked for in late 2015, early 2016, and then coincidentally, Simona loses her job at the European Parliament, and she goes to work for Professor Mifsud.
Wow.
And this is before they have met.
Yeah.
So she worked for him for about 3 months, and now I think I can say this now. It's coming out publicly, or it has been. Mifsud set them up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He did. He said, there's this Trump guy coming. I know you don't believe in all the Trump stuff. She was,
Wow.
I don't know if it was fake or whatever, but she was like a member of the socialist wing of all that. But
Wait, I got it. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Mifsud matchmaker.
He is.
I just want to say that
The
because it
Mifsud
sounded cool.
Matchmaker.
Yeah.
Ooh. Sounds like a podcast name.
I'm sorry. Go. You were saying.
So he said, George is coming in to town pretty soon. I don't know the exact wording, but you should meet him. And I don't know if they met that time, but he was the one that wanted them to meet.
Wow.
Yeah, which is interesting because back to the original story. He was the one that originally told George that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton in the form of thousands of emails, and this was 2 months prior to anyone else knowing.
Right.
So he had the inside knowledge, and subsequently we've learned his ties to the Russian government. He claimed, and there's evidence, that he was pretty good friends with Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, one of the most powerful people.
Does it? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's it. You're good.
Does anyone know where Mifsud is?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, I can't say though. Yeah.
No, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And no, I definitely won't ask you, but that's interesting.
He's alive. He's hiding for obvious reasons.
Of course. Will you have any reporting on that, or is that
maybe eventually?
Okay.
But that's not in the cards right now.
Okay, good.
And so basically, they're trying to turn. This is what really pisses me off. They're trying to turn Mifsud into an FBI asset that was there to entrap George, which is
right.
Some former assistants to the FBI worked alongside Mifsud for some time, and he has pictures with State Department officials.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean anything. There's pictures. Even I'll give you an example from the other side. Maria Butina, the Russian that infiltrated the NRA,
mm-hmm.
she has pictures with everyone. That doesn't mean that everyone she has pictures with is guilty of anything. Rick Santorum didn't do anything in the Trump-Russia scandal. She snapped a picture with him.
Right.
You got to be fair.
Right.
You got to be fair on that. Just because you have a picture of someone, it's not,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a picture of her on my wall.
Yeah,
but
there you go. Yeah.
But it's just her. It's not.
The FBI's going to come knocking.
So you once the Papadopoulos article had come out, and then what was the next? Was it Trump Tower Moscow after that?
Yeah, that was the big transition.
Okay.
That was brought to my attention by someone I wrote with for a little bit, Aaron Lankow, who was looking into a lot of the Russian side of it, like the Russian business development company. So I partnered with her on a couple articles and then did my own recently and about a year ago. And a lot of that was that. That's actually when I got hacked. I don't know if you know this.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got hacked by someone in Russia, January of 2018, December, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Late 2017, early 2018. Logged into my Gmail one day, and it was new sign-in from Moscow 10 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and I have, I've had family in law enforcement for a long time and friends and stuff. So I went to them and said, what is this? And they said, yeah, this was a sophisticated... I'm 21, 22. I'm like, how the hell did I get myself into this?
Yeah.
And it was funny. At the time when I figured out, I went online and then the power went out at my house.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think... It's not connected at all, but it was good God.
You never know.
Yeah. So my law enforcement friends were saying this was sophisticated because I had all the protections in place already. I had two-factor authentication on, and they still got in.
Wow.
So yeah, I had to get rid of all my credit cards and start new there. And,
That's probably something. That's something for everybody to think about, but especially I'm going to think about that stuff. Because I was going to say I knew you took all the precautions and they still got in.
Yeah, and I was still a little green. I probably could have done more. That was my wake up call though. Definitely,
Right.
I definitely considered like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But people found it important, so stuck with it.
That's a road that I'm sure, well, really anybody who's ever done anything good probably has, but definitely I'm sure every journalist, whoever, Woodward and Bernstein, I'm sure we're like,
absolutely.
Or
get the Nixon clan on you and bad things happen.
Yeah, I mean, these people are. So yeah, Trump Tower Moscow. You want to, I don't know, maybe run down anything about that?
Yeah, so like I said, my main focus on Trump Tower Moscow was understanding who these Russians were that signed the deal with Trump and Michael Cohen. And a lot of the things I looked into and frankly still interested in, because we haven't gotten a definitive answer, is who owns that company. We don't know who owns that company that Trump signed the deal with. We know the CEO of the company, a man by the name of Andrei Rozov. He's a developer in Moscow. Had a couple projects going on at the same time, but nothing to the scale of that. He had like a residential apartment complex that was failing miserably. I think there's something like 1,600 lawsuits against the company.
Wow.
Because he took people's money and then just didn't build it.
Yeah, sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But that's, sounds
like someone we know.
Once I was looking into him, I don't want to,
Sure.
I shouldn't say that, but the Trump Tower Moscow, when I was looking into that's when I got hacked.
Okay.
So I looked into that company. There's all sorts of shady money going around. A couple weeks after they signed the deal with Trump, they got this huge loan from Sberbank in Russia, which is a state-owned, big, I think the biggest bank in Russia, but don't quote me on that one.
Sure.
Completely state-owned, and they got a huge loan to the tune of something like $160 million.
Wow.
And that was 3 weeks after Trump put his name on that piece of paper.
Right.
And my more recent reporting on that, you have to say where that money's going to get the money and to spend it. And the way that they laid it out, it was for that big residential complex that they were building, but that only accounted for something like 90 to 100 million. So there's this missing $60 million somewhere out there in the world.
Right.
And the implication being most likely Andrei Rozov just pocketed it somewhere. But that's high level corruption. That needs to be exposed as well. Right.
So it's this guy who is just, I don't know, just almost sounds like a front man or something, and then all of a sudden,
that's
that's what you think.
That was my theory at the beginning. It's still a possibility, but he's a shady character. He's known Sater for a long time.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. So the Trump Tower Moscow deal, which is a collusion or whatever. I mean, maybe not conspiracy by the law, but
I think aspects of that are going to be we're not going to see tomorrow in the report because I think they've been farmed out.
Yeah.
Like for example, the BuzzFeed was amazing on that story, by the way. Leopold and Cormier.
Yep.
They broke the story that Cohen and Sater had this idea to give Putin the $50 million penthouse for free in the Trump Tower Moscow. And Cohen actually told that to the Kremlin when he had that call with the Kremlin official.
Right.
So possible bribery. And I think that's something that Mueller might have not felt that he was in the position to charge. I think he was very cognizant of not going out of his scope of Russian interference in the 2016 election. So I think that's probably something that might have been farmed out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
but if it doesn't result in any charges, besides the Cohen lying to Congress about it, it's shady and it's unethical.
Yeah.
And you can argue it's aiding and abetting what they were doing. I mean, they hacked Clinton.
Right.
And they were certainly supporting Trump with all they had, and at the same time he was looking to get rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me. I mean, just speaking for myself, that's impeachable right there. You lied.
Yeah.
You said you had no deals. You did have deals. You lied. You can't lie if you're you can't be the president and tell that kind of lie.
Exactly.
That's just the way it is.
And it's one of 10,000 that he told. So,
since you brought up the Mueller report, and I'm going to do my best to get this up. It's like you can't move fast enough. Like I was on some other guy's radio show yesterday. I'm talking about this, and then I'm planning for this, and then I'm like, oh, the Mueller report's going to drop.
Morning.
I'm like, can we get some sleep?
Yeah. Well, no, not tonight. I think my plan is get the report.
Okay.
And go in the woods.
Okay.
And just read it.
Yeah.
Because the Twitter tomorrow is going to be a cesspool. It's going to be awful.
Yeah.
You want to read the 400 pages and then digest it for a little bit and figure out.
Any thoughts on what we might see, or it's going to be tough?
I think. Well, yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of evidence of obstruction.
Okay.
I think the obstruction side of it's going to be huge, especially because Barr couldn't even flower that language. He was just the one that said, nah, no obstruction.
Yeah.
Which is insane that that's not talked about.
Yeah.
He got this job by writing a letter saying the president can't really obstruct justice.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it was saying.
Yeah.
And then he, along with Rosenstein, who's involved in the main event of obstruction, firing Comey.
Yeah. You're right.
They were the two men that said, nah, the president didn't commit a felony. That's insane. That should have been to Congress.
That's you're right. It is insane. Mm-hmm. And now it's coming out that Barr also, he's, I guess even going back to the 80s, he was what I would describe as a cover-up artist. Might be a little harsh, but yeah.
Stonewaller.
Yeah, a stonewaller.
Yep.
Has anyone, I've been wondering, has anyone covered how, I know he wrote the memo to audition, but it seems like there's a story behind that. This guy's been out the game for a while. How did he get this job?
I don't know. I don't think there's been reporting on that. I was looking it up the other day. He was on Fox News a couple times.
He was?
In 2017, talking about like Steele dossiers garbage. And
really?
Trump might have seen some of that.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he was watching TV. So tomorrow you're going to go off in the woods, huh?
Yeah, woods probably being like a park by my house.
Yeah, I mean, do we know when it might drop? What time? Or
in the morning?
The morning.
Yeah,
okay.
So probably, I don't know. I'll be up at 5 just to be safe. Even though I was up at 4:30 today.
Oh man. Yeah. No, I got a pretty packed day, and then after that, moving into your book. So
can I say one more thing about the report?
No, say yeah.
The main thing that I'm looking for, and I think people should look for, is what's not in it. Not only the redactions, which I hope are minimal. I mean, Congress should have had the full report a month ago without any redactions or anything.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that didn't happen. Not Congress as a whole, but the House Intel.
Of course.
Why don't they have the report? Makes no sense.
I don't get it.
Yeah. But for the public side of things, redact sources and methods. We don't need to be seeing that. Redact. I mean, there should have been a move to get the grand jury material, which Barr hasn't done. But yeah, you got to protect people that are helping the United States and stuff like that.
Do you think that Mueller or his team kept a copy of this report just in case? I mean, I know it's just
probably. I mean, we know some of them are mad with the way that Barr's handling it. So
because I'm just like, please, like you'll never be more of a patriot than releasing this report to a journalist. Like, send it to Scott first of all, because then just that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But if it's not Scott, send it to somebody who can get it out there.
Send it to Natasha.
Natasha.
That'd be great.
Or yes, Natasha. Or just we have to see this. I mean, it's like
we have to. We
need to see it.
We have to see it. It's been 3 years. If you want to go back to the original FBI, it's time to see it. We paid for it. Let's see it.
It's our report.
Yeah.
Scott, after Trump Tower, it was the next focus the NRA. Was that your next thing?
Yeah, I was balancing a few things at that point. Like, there's a lot coming in. But the NRA, my focus there was, I had a couple sources actually in the NRA, former that really described the relationship between Maria Butina, the young Russian, and Alexander Torshin. And I got a hold of a handwritten letter from then NRA, I think he was president at the time, David Keene, to Alexander Torshin in 2011. I got a hold of that letter, and it said, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but it basically just said, we'll help you in whatever you want to do. We loved having you at the convention. Let us know if you need anything.
Can I just pause to say what Scott just said, how insane that the president of the NRA is having that interaction with the head of the Russian government, a country with no gun culture.
It's all a sham. The whole gun movement in Russia, it's an entire sham.
Right, it's fake. It's
fake because who has guns in Russia? Nobody. Putin does. And a lot of these people aren't in it for the guns. Maybe the Americans certainly are.
Sure.
The NRA's, well, hopefully soon dead, but
yes,
they're in it for the
amen.
Yes, they're in it for the long haul, and like the Trump team, they were willing to partner with anyone to spread that message, and they were also the biggest spenders to help Trump.
One of the great mysteries I have, maybe you can answer this: did these trips that made no sense, where the NRA is bringing over this bizarre collection, did that attract the attention of U.S. intelligence? And if so, did they do anything or?
I would assume so, only because I know that Butina was on the radar for years, and so they were probably tracking her pretty closely.
Mm.
Yeah, but certainly the media didn't pick up on that trip until after the election. There might have been a piece in the Daily Beast or two, but that whole entire trip is super interesting. It was the same week as Michael Flynn being there for the Russia Today dinner, sitting right next to Putin. Jill Stein was there, who
course.
I think is super interesting. I think there's more to that story. So that same week, you have Michael Flynn, you have Jill Stein, you have Sheriff David Clark, you have the NRA president, the NRA donors, all in Moscow, of all places. And, they're hobnobbing with a couple of the pictures I got from one of my stories is like David Clark holding a glass of whiskey, like toasting to the Russians that were hosting the event. And
perfect.
Like, what are you doing? You're a sheriff in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
No business being in Russia.
You really can't make that up, huh?
No. And the people that they were with, it's like, God, Deputy Prime Minister of Russia. It's like this was obviously a well thought out thing from the Russian side of the Russian viewpoint. It's like, who can we get here?
Yeah.
And they actually paid for a lot of it. Butina paid for Sheriff Clark's flights and hotels and everything.
Oh, good.
And of course, Erickson, we know about him.
Yeah.
The 60-year-old, not good-looking man with a 28-year-old Russian redhead.
Beauty is in the eye. No, yeah. He's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's just I keep coming back to. Well, it's kind of a big picture question, but I've been asking it since it started. There's been in my lifetime 2 major catastrophic failures to protect the American people: September 11th and this. And I still don't understand how all these things were going on, and no one. I know people did their best, but I still don't understand why. At least someone wasn't letting the American public know. For example, hey, the guy who's running for president just hired Paul Manafort, an international criminal with 5 passports. Like, why didn't they protect us?
I think Chris Steele was trying to do that.
Yeah.
But the media didn't listen. I mean, we can talk about the dossier a little bit. It's mostly accurate. I think we can all say that by now. But there's some mess-ups in there. Like,
sure.
Especially when you look at things sourced to Kremlin officials. I tend to believe that misinformation got into that document. Yeah. I think it's totally a possibility. Like Cohen Prague, for example. I don't think we're going to find that was true. So, yes, the Steele, super important. He was the one that, ringing the bell at the, mid-2016 saying, why is Carter Page flying to Moscow and meeting with all these people? Yeah. And why is there this huge effort to help Trump? The media kind of dropped the ball. There was a few reports, David Corn, obviously, with the first report on the Steele documents, but that was late. And a lot of it too it was secret. I mean, all these meetings were secret.
Yeah.
It's hard to uncover in real time. These investigations take forever.
No, I think Steele is look, the guy's a patriot. I mean, he's it's ironic. He's not even American, and he's more of a patriot than all these sordid characters that you just were talking about.
And people forget, people that like to talk badly about Steele, they forget all that he did prior to the dossier.
Mm-hmm.
He took down the FIFA corruption scandal. Like he was the main guy that did that. He was the head of the Russia branch for British intelligence for years and years and years and years. This is a legit guy. This isn't like, a computer analyst at the FBI.
Right.
Not to
no, totally.
not to denigrate, but like this is like the equivalent of, not quite John Brennan, but like someone right under him. I mean, he was the head guy for Russia for British intelligence. So
right.
he knew his shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and he used sources that, I mean, and he said himself, he's like, it's not going to be all true.
It's raw intelligence,
right.
And that's what he was hired to do, is collect intelligence. It's up to people to confirm it or not.
There's a particularly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a chilling part of that dossier somewhere where it says that Trump and Russia have a relationship going back far. I mean,
5 or 8 years, I think he mentions.
An intelligence exchange. I think that was I could be wrong, but do you have any thoughts on that, or is that?
I mean, it's possible. I think he probably worded it wrongly.
You think so?
I mean, we have the 2013 pageant, obviously in Moscow, the Miss Universe pageant, the P-tape special, which also, if we're talking honesty here, I think the compromise side of things is 100 times more likely than an agreement between the Trump and Russia,
right.
Trump campaign in Russia. Trump has been going to Russia for 30 plus years, and one of his first trips was organized by Russian intelligence. I mean, come on, he's filmed somewhere doing something.
Wow.
He's on audio somewhere.
Oh,
I mean, there's no way. It's a intelligence state, and he's been there multiple times and leaves with no business deals.
Yeah.
So, and also, like, a lot that I write in the book is not, yes, it's about collusion, quote unquote collusion, but it's also about how compromised the entire team was. Like, for example, the Trump Tower meeting with Veselnitskaya and the Hillary dirt. People like to look at that and say, the Trump team was willing to accept and eager to accept help. Yes, that's true, but also, as soon as Don Jr. sent that email saying, yeah, I love it, let's get to it, I love it, he was compromised.
Right.
He was completely compromised because the Russians had something over his head at that time. Could you imagine if, October 2016, it comes out that, all the senior members of the Trump campaign met with the Russian government to get dirt on Hillary?
Right.
That would have been huge.
Yeah.
That would have had, he won by 10,000 votes in those 3 states. You're telling me that story might not have flipped those 10,000? Come on.
And I still have suspicions about even
not 10,000, 90,000, something like that.
But it was you're correct. It was a very small.
Yes.
To alter an entire the world as we know it.
Yeah.
It and I still question even. Now we're finding out that they got into supposedly all 50 states or something to that effect. So sometimes I find myself even questioning, how do I know they didn't change votes? I mean,
Yep. I think you got to be careful though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no evidence right now that they got into voter registration systems in a few states that weren't swing states, but that's very concerning to me, especially with 2020. If they were able to get into voter registration lists in Ohio or in Michigan, Pennsylvania, that'd be a huge problem if they take 300,000 people off the rolls that are going to vote for whoever the Dem nominee is.
Yeah.
That's huge, and we haven't done a damn thing about it. And it's here.
Yeah.
We're campaigning already. It's here.
The campaign is here.
And just like I did that Reddit thing yesterday.
Yeah.
The AMA on Reddit. The amount of bots, it was unbelievable.
I responded to one. Yeah, go ahead.
The same message over and over.
Yeah.
And it's like, good God, here they are again, and we haven't done anything about it.
It was funny. Some guy said, it might have been a real person, but I wouldn't be surprised. But he said, he's like, I'd like your book a lot more if you covered like the both sides. And I responded, I was like, it's not Scott's fault that most of the grift happens to be on one side. That has nothing to do with you.
Yes, and my focus is the Russia investigation.
Right.
I'm happy to criticize Dems, by the way.
Sure.
I'm happy to do that, and I've done it on Twitter a million times. For example, Democrats took money from Len Blavatnik, who made his money on Russian oil business and is close to all the top Russians. People like to point to him and say Mitch McConnell got money. Well, so did the DCCC.
Right.
Yes, he changed his patterns a lot in 2016 to donate to more Republicans. But, I mean, you got to criticize both sides if you're going to be on that issue.
Yeah, the whole both sides thing just made me laugh. I was like, it's not if Trump took the Trump Moscow Tower, and then you have like a lower level Democrat who did it. Like, it's not Scott's job to put them together in his book.
Yeah, it's not a both sides thing.
It's
like
not.
You said, there's all this crap on one side, and I'm happy to look into, like, there's a Joe Biden. His son works for a big Ukrainian company that's in bed with all these bad people, Hunter Biden, and he makes millions from that business. So I think that's something that needs to be brought to light if Biden's going to run. Like, I'm happy to do that stuff, but the book and my research has been about Trump Russia, so that's what you're going to get with it.
Yeah, these trolls are. I mean, I guess that's
whatever. I laugh at most of them.
It's part of the.
I mean, I was like it or not, I was on the front page of Reddit, so
there you go.
There's so many comments from half supporters, half trolls. Like, hey, if more people see my name, I'm happy with it. Like
they say in the entertainment business, any press, there's a lot of truth to that.
Oh yeah, all press is good press.
That's what people have been trying to get me to have. Like, I don't know. They want me to have like some like right wing type characters on here, and I'm like, I'm really mixed because I don't want this to turn into like cable news crossfire. But I do know that if one of those people gets in my crosshairs, it's going to be awesome, and it's not going to be awesome for them.
I mean, you just got to find someone that's like respectful.
Yeah,
there's people involved in the Trump Russia story. They're respectful. Like Rob Goldstone might be a good interview.
Yeah, since you brought him up.
He messaged me today and like,
really?
Congrats on the book. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I think he just got caught up in a lot of shit. And made bad choices too. Definitely made bad choices by representing the Agalarovs, but seems like a decent guy. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that got caught up in it, I think, that are... You
brought up the Don Jr. email, and then where he was compromised, and then I remember that Paul Erickson sent an email titled "Kremlin Connection."
That's right.
Is that intentional? I mean, that's almost too much. Like,
it is. I think a lot of these. Yeah, yeah. Trump. What was it? Yeah, like Trump. Kremlin
Dude,
back channel. He used the word back channel.
It's like an Onion article. Like, if it was the Onion, you'd be like, free money for, like, I don't know, just
something outrageous.
We'll elect you president. .com. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Sater did too with the Trump Tower Moscow deal. It's like, he was emailing Cohen, we can get Trump to be president with this deal. He's another one that like bigs himself up all the time. So you don't know if he's trying to sound important or can he actually make Trump the president based on the people he knows in Russia? Yeah,
and then I just have like one or two more things. But since you brought that up, that you cover the part of the book that I didn't know anything about this guy, Konstantin Rykov.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Konstantin Rykov, he is dubbed the godfather of the Russian internet. He was the one in the late 90s, that kind of took over everything on the internet. He had everything from political websites to porn to anything. Huge Putin supporter. Rumors that he's paid by the Kremlin. He's worked directly under Putin's underlings. His main job is to be a propagandist. He pushes the message. He pushes the United Russia line. And he's damn good at his job. I'll give him that.
Wow.
But there's a series of Facebook posts that he did in right after the election, a few days. Basically, it reads like a fairy tale fiction story, but it's him basically saying I worked alongside Cambridge Analytica and the Russian hackers and WikiLeaks to help get Trump elected.
Yeah, he was describing almost like a movie plot. I mean,
exactly.
Is that a? I was looking. I was like wondering if the guy is that. What do you think about that? Is it credible? I mean,
so the credibility question is interesting because he is a propagandist, right? He wants that discord between. But you look at he was a politician. He was in the state Duma which is their equivalent of, I think, the House of Reps. He was in Putin's party for 4 or 5 years in government. Continues to advise them. He was the one in France that sort of put together. Marine Le Pen in France was running for president, and she got a bunch of Russian loans from Russian banks. He was the intermediary that set all that up because he has a place in France, and he was the go-between.
Okay.
So he's done that before.
Okay.
So that adds to the credibility of his words. What I can say is he made those posts for a reason. Whether they're true or not, probably not. Right. I don't think he was talking to Assange all the time and working with Cambridge. No. But was he involved in the troll effort? Perhaps. And he's a credible human being in terms of he knows people and he's trusted by Putin.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't take his words at face value, but it was certainly amazing to read.
Yeah, it was.
Posts.
It was right after the election. I almost found myself wondering. I mean, maybe the guy had a couple drinks and just let it fly. Like
maybe he had this big election party.
Yeah,
with a bunch of people in Russia. Maybe.
So 2 more. Well, I just want to ask you 2 more things. One, is there if there's one thing that you want people to know about this story that maybe you either haven't gotten to talk about on other shows, or is there one thing about the Trump-Russia story you think people need to know?
My go-to answer is Psy Group.
Okay.
And it's not. It might end up not being even Russia-related, but I present evidence in this book that there's certainly Russian money involved in the corporate structure of Psy Group, which is allegedly an Israeli company and staffed by former Israeli intelligence officials. But that whole story is so interesting, man, and people don't know about it. There was the one New York Times story and a few follow-ups. But there were, this guy, Joel Zammel, is offering the Trump campaign help. And help in the form of something eerily similar to what the Russians did with fake news, bots, all this supporting Trump. And the biggest thing for me is, look at the money, right? Yeah. Look at where the money went. George Nader, who most of your listeners are probably familiar with, he's a friend of the Saudi government. He's a friend of the UAE government, knows the leaders there quite well. Also a convicted pedophile who somehow had access to Trump during the election. The people that's good God. Anyway, he paid Joel Zammel of Psy Group $2 million after the election, and we don't know why. There's conflicting stories. Some people say that Psy Group did actually do an effort to help Trump. We have the plans that they offered. That's public info. Incredible documents that people should really take a look at. It's like 5 pages of how this social media group can help Trump win and hurt Hillary. It's incredible to look at. But you have that $2 million payment after the election that I want to know about. Yeah, you don't give someone $2 million, and George Nader doesn't have $2 million to give in the first place. So that's someone else's money, and we don't know why it happened. So that's the big story that I'm interested in. As of now, and I think we'll learn more about that, not in the Mueller report tomorrow, probably, but in, SDNY or wherever took that case.
Just one more question. What do you think, this whole what's happened has transformed you into a investigative journalist, and me into doing a podcast? What can every American do to fight the spread of the totalitarianism that's descending on this country right now? What do you think?
A couple things. One, I'll give you the obvious answer. Find a candidate that's honest. Find a candidate that tells the truth. And do what you can. a lot of the numbers are, like, for example, the candidates running now, donate $1 because the individual donations are helpful. Those are important numbers. Donate $1 and, post on Facebook. It helps. It certainly helps. Tell friends. And as Democrats, I certainly learned this the hard way. I'm not a registered Democrat, but I vote Democratic usually, nearly all the time. You got to come together at the end.
Yep.
If it's, I'm not a huge Joe Biden fan. If it's Biden, I'm voting for it, and I'm helping.
Right.
You got to, we have to do it this time. Whether it's probably going to be Trump. There's the off chance he's impeached. If it's Trump or Pence, we got to fall in line.
Right.
Democrats are, differences between us are ridiculously small compared to, the authoritarian government that we have in place now.
Right.
And also, secondly, not just myself, but support good, independent journalism.
Amen.
I think, the structure of journalism now, I talk about this a little bit in the book in my preface. It's broken. It's not fake news, but it's broken. People don't want to... You should never have to pay to see news articles, in my mind. Like, free press, yes, that means free to talk about anything you want without any consequences. But also, I think it means free in terms of you don't have to pay to read what's going on in the world. Like, there is a better way to do it, first of all. Like, The Guardian relies on donations. They're doing pretty damn well.
Yeah.
They break good stories.
Great stories.
Patreon, I think, is going to be big in the future.
Yeah.
It is now. It's going to be big in the future. So I'd like to see... I'm advising a company called Logos right now.
Oh, cool.
Completely decentralized news, sort of like a Medium competitor.
Okay.
A little bit. Not directly in competition. But they allow you to rate the bias of articles. If your credentials, like, you can link your LinkedIn. So if you have a degree in a certain topic, you're bumped up because you're valid to speak on the topic. So they have a really cool system going. It's not launched to the public yet, but I think supporting independent journalists like that is going to be the future in terms of, if you like something you read, support the journalist, not necessarily the huge news court behind them, even though that's also valuable.
Right, because the big problem is, too, fake news is free, and that's the problem.
Yep, and, man, it's hard to detect.
Yeah.
I fall for it. I'm going to say it. I fell for it in 2016 totally.
We all have at one point.
And it's hard, but keep an eye out for it, and you start to notice patterns, and block and report.
Block and report. The Scott Stedman story.
Yeah.
No.
But also one thing, engage with people that are reasonable.
Yeah.
There are people that are reasonable on social media, and in my view, go on Fox News. Like, it's a shitty organization, spreads propaganda, but I have family that watches Fox News.
Sure.
Like, you gotta respect that.
Yeah.
You don't have to respect Fox News as an institution at all. You have to respect that some of the population that watches Fox News, they're decent people. They have open minds to some things. So if you go on there, do a town hall.
Yeah.
Screw it. Say your truth in the town hall, and maybe you'll change, even if it's 100 minds. Who cares?
Yeah.
You got to be willing to engage, as long as it's not, a lot of it is coming from a place of malice. You ignore that. But there are people out there, give it a shot, engage.
Yeah, it's called, look, Bernie Sanders did it. That's being viewed as a raging success.
I think it was. I'm not a huge Bernie fan. He's not my number one choice, but I think that was a great move.
Yeah.
Go on Fox News. You saw the applause he got. Like, people are... look at the polls.
Yeah.
Look at the polls. 90% of people want expanded background checks.
Right.
That's 200 and something million people.
There's another. It's called leadership. Leadership is putting yourself out there in the world, and if people don't like you, then they don't like you. But that's how you win elections.
And that's, people look for integrity. If you're saying the same thing you are to Fox as you are to MSNBC, it means you believe in something, and you stick to the facts, right? You stick to the facts, and you can't go wrong, really.
Amen. Scott Stedman. The book is called Real News. It's at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, everywhere, right?
Walmart, Target, a bunch of... Support your local independent bookstore.
Amen to that, too. Support your local independent bookstore. Scott, if they want to follow you...
just on Twitter for now. Yeah, Scott M. Stedman on Twitter. maybe a couple announcements here in the next couple months with regards to my next steps, but we'll see where it takes me.
If you want to come back anytime,
I would love to, man.
That'd be cool.
Totally.
Open door. You can follow us at Mueller Time Pod. My personal account is Eric Levay, EricLevai.
I'll give you guys a shout out too after this.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. And tomorrow is the Mueller report.
It's the big day. Try and get as much rest as I can. But
yeah, me and you both.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We'll talk soon.